So we're back. Obviously my first step here is to switch to windowed mode to get your Shadowplay working. Yeah, you just flip that back and then you're in, and you can maybe edit it out next time. I'm being a bit lazy here, but what have you. I did notice some issues before there when I was loading into a certain checkpoint. So if you have issues of it just crashing out completely and not showing an error message, then I'd recommend you lower the resolution scale at that particular point when you're loading up, and then get into the game, and then you can just flip it back up. That's what I did. It's the only time I've encountered a problem, but yeah, that's my advice as I sorted it. So as usual, I'm running at 4K. VSync, so it doesn't seem to recognize my fast sync or the cap that I put on my FPS. So yeah, it's basically there just to get the cap on the FPS in Vulkan. Anti-aliasing, as usual, you want TAA. You have got a sharpening thing, which I'll show you later. As usual, I don't recommend motion blur on any games or chromatic aberration. Pardon me. And here we are. If you don't know what the API is, it's basically like what the game runs on, what language it interacts with the hardware. So like APIs like Vulkan dig deeper into the hardware and have more control over it. That's why it's overriding some settings, and you can't have like my usual performance meter, which is from a MSI. So you've got the in-house performance meter, but I'm sure they'll add support for stuff like that later on. I can't even think of any more Vulkan games than this. So, as usual, I'm trying to go for 100% scale, which is very applicable in this game, definitely. Pretty much everything's on the highest. I would say turn your player shadow off. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a drain on performance, but I did notice it like skipping a few frames, maybe when there's a bottleneck. You wouldn't think it, but it does, from what I've seen. So everything's pretty much on high. So virtual texture page. So because I've got 8 gigabytes, obviously I've got this on Nightmare. Maybe if you have, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6, maybe put that in Ultra. It depends. Maybe you want to just keep an eye on how your VRAM is filling. High, obviously that would be like 2 or 3 gigabytes. 1 gigabyte on media. If you're playing this game on on 1 gigabyte card, then you're gonna have a little bit of a bad time, I would think. Everything's on highest here. Compute shaders, you definitely want that on. So motion blur, you can't turn that off. Obviously I've turned it off, but you can't turn that on to off. Depth of field, again, you're just making things blurry. HDR, I wouldn't recommend if you haven't got a HDR screen, or else it's just going to over saturate like the image, over contrast the image, or what have you. Lens flares here and there, you can have it if you want, you can not have it. Again, with lens did. Default rendering mode, so I've just went with default. Film grain, as usual, I recommend putting that off, unless you're a fan of that old school look with like horror games and what have you. And performance metrics, so usually I'd recommend having this on ultra or high. Because I'm doing the video, I just want to show all the metrics possible, as it were. So let's just get to the gameplay. Let's get to it. I chose this section because it's a big section, and there's lots of different enemy types. So you get a good level of it's a good level because of the size of it, not only but the complexity and the amount of enemies. Yeah, I'm a bit late in doing this review. I was meant to do it when I was actually properly into it, but guess I got caught up in other games. You can see I'm a bit rusty. Let's get something a bit stronger. I do highly recommend this game, definitely. Awesome soundtrack, awesome graphics, just awesome everything. It's gotta be the most badass game of the year, that's for certain. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't be too bothered about dropping the odd frame, even though this is quite fast paced. But I think Vulkan would be beneficial to pretty much any GPU. The only cases where I think it wouldn't is maybe if it was severely lacking CUDA. No gold resources, but there's health, one full health. Yeah, boy. Let's go to the rodeo. Right. Doing terrible. see some new soldiers over there. Yeah, boy. So, noticing a few drops there at the end. Usually when it's sort of loading up the next area, it does drop somewhat. I think there's enough equipment here. So, cutscene up there. See where it drops. Some people are actually bothered about cutscenes dropping to like, I don't know, 40 FPS there. It's just dumb. When you think most cutscenes actually lock into 30. You dumb. You got the dumb. This stuff coming from the ground looks like emulsion. From gears. Ah. Yeah. Human Knights. Knights of the Green Pit. Oh, this must be a boss. Let's leave it. Yeah, I think. Hope that helped.
Promised me so.